Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for us to be here this morning. We don't take it lightly. We want to specifically, in a special way, honor Apostle Mose and Pastor Ari, who have given us a platform to be able not just to share our story, but also walk this walk of marriage by setting a great example for us. They have been through it all. We've watched them go through it. And they have given each one of us here hope. They have parented us in ways that I cannot begin to describe. In the big things, discipling us, making sure that we are looking after our kids well, that we are ministering well in the spaces where they've put us, but also parenting us just like a father and a mother would to their little children. They visited us this week at our house and brought us chicken soup.
Hey.
Yeah. Twice. Hey. Chicken soup twice. With all gifts and what sat with us, laughed with us. We have really enjoyed your company. We continue to enjoy it and we treasure you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much for loving us practically, not those things of I love you. But it's easy to say I love you. It's very easy. Yeah, ladies, you know this, right? How many guys have told you I love you? And there's nothing in there. Yeah.
Don't put up your hand. Don't put up your hand.
Yeah, please don't put up your hand. Don't stand up. Yeah. Over to you, babe.
No, up more specifically concerning our marriage. You asked us what was going on when we didn't know what was going on. Because I remember my words to you were, so what should I do? What should we do? And you're like, I don't know. Let's figure it out. But also, when Emmanuel was coming to be introduced by me to
meet the parents.
Yes. Apostle was what's the English word for it?
The spokesman.
The spokesman, I guess. The go-between.
The arbitrator.
Yeah. And he made sure they said yes. So thank you. Thank you for being a really significant part of our lives and our marriage. It's so good to have the COF team with us, guys.
Oh, yes!
Yeah. I know you probably had this story, but it's awesome to have you here in our auditorium in the piece of land that you helped us acquire. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's such a great honor and a privilege. So Emmanuel, love songs.
Love songs.
At our home, we like love songs. And you also like love songs? Are you the guys who... Yes. Look, if you're here today, you're married, okay? Or you're going to get married. So I hope you're sitting strategically. We've made sure we put a couple of breaks, okay? Gentlemen, today is the day. Walk up to someone who's not wearing a ring.
Oh, yeah.
And say, can I get you your tea during the break? You understand? Don't live here. Yeah. Make sure you live with a number. All right? Hey, girls, are you going to say yes? You don't know. Does he have to say, can I get you a cup of tea while swinging his car keys? I don't know. Anyway. But we like love songs at our home. And I was trying to ask Dr. O what his favorite love song. What his favorite love song?
My favorite love song. I don't know. It's not Anjagala. How about this? I can show you the world.
Hey!
Shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? I can open your eyes, take you wonder by wonder, over, sideways, praise and under on this magic carpet ride, a whole new world, a new and dazzling point of view. No one to tell us no, or run unknown, or say we're only dreaming, a whole new world. Oh, now from way up here, it's crystal clear that now I'm in a whole new world with you. How about you? How about you? How about you?
You guys, my love songs are so PG. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Obulungi bwose bo, hey, jimu wange, konzije waffe, nze Jenny sikyaddayo, nzora leero kankubulire, ekyama kyange, naleetanga obulamu bwange, sekako mwattu, akaseko kaffe, ebibo bye byange. Something, Dr. Nzewo. My gosh, yeah. A few years ago, you've understood, we are inviting you to live in a world of love songs.
Come on now.
That's our plan today. That every day will be a love song, right? Yeah. Today is not about Heartbreak Hotel. Today is of Jim Nzewo. A few years ago, Dr. O wrote a poem. We turned it into a song. Yeah.
From the first time we met, since I felt your embrace, I heard a love song start to play. From the moment you said you would love me this way, this masterpiece my heart now plays. I have a life with you beyond all dreams and imaginations. You are my hope unveiled, my picture of perfection. My life to spend with you, to soar through clouds and depths unfathomed. Loving you now and always, forever, whatever.
Yeah. Now, always, forever, whatever. Now, always, forever, whatever. Tulina waka, which in English means we have work. Which means we are so dope. We have come from living a life where we were excited about each other. We were really excited about each other.
Were?
Let me finish the sentence. We still are excited about each other. To a life where we live a relationship that's enriched. You know, in the beginning, not that you shouldn't, where sometimes you're not even yourself. Okay? Where you laugh all the time, whether the joke is funny or not. It's not a bad thing. You know, like, when you love someone, they crack a joke that's not funny, you laugh because you love them.
Teamwork.
Seriously. Yeah. My husband can tell me the same story 4 times. And I react and engage like I'm hearing it for the first time. It's amazing. Waka. So, from a point where people who are dating or in early stages of marriage, have you found yourself just being not yourself? I don't know. You're yourself, but you're not yourself. You're not fully comfortable with your skin. Everyone is like, me, I'm comfortable with myself. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I need you to nod your head to a place where you are fully yourself because you know you're fully accepted. Yeah. Does that make sense? Where in the beginning you think that if you belch, okay? Yes. Yeah, let's stop at belching. You think that the next day he's going to walk out of you. Or where you cannot allow him to wake up before you put on maybe lip gloss. Guys, why are you like, hey, yes. To a point where, and I know some people can be like, now you don't care anymore what you look like. To a point where you are fully comfortable with who you are, naked and unashamed. Do you understand? Naked and unashamed, 3 children later, more than you were when you had a 6-pack.
Oh, thank you.
Do you understand? Now it's an 8-pack. It's just but it grew from 6 to 8.
There's no merger. Hostile takeover.
Where you had a good thing, and then suddenly you realize that the thing you have is precious. The quality of it, it's full. It's complete. There's no pretense. There's, what's the word? Help me find the word.
Authenticity.
It's authentic. It's pure.
Yeah.
It's pure. Because he knows the good about me, the bad, the ugly. None of you has seen my ugly. He knows the ugly, and yet there's still a purity in the way he loves me. Do you understand? Where in the beginning, wives, you think that to keep him, you must sleep with him 5 times a day. I'm speaking truth. Am I speaking truth? Is it too soon for truth? You need coffee, eh? To a point where you know that even if you didn't, he loves you anyway. And not should we continue to sin that grace may abound, God forbid. It's that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to bring home the bacon or not. That I love you anyway. And that's a thing we're trying to bring forward today. We're trying to move you from petty. Because the world has fed us with petty. Me that day, a man comes home with less than 1 million shillings. I'm leaving him.
There.
Seriously. Me that day, my husband does this. I'm leaving him. No. It's that thing. Dr. O.
Wow, what a beginning. She went like deep water right from the beginning. So what I want to talk about is, a couple of weeks ago we had a pastor's training here. And Atmo was teaching. And he talked about two things. He talked about disciplines and graces. Two sides of a table. And he listed all the disciplines that we adhere to in ministry so that we may succeed. He talked about, what are some of the examples of disciplines? Praying, fasting, visiting your disciples. All those things are great things. Teaching them. These are disciplines that you get to practice and you must practice to succeed in ministry. And they are great and they take your effort. When you do not do them, you struggle in ministry. The key word at the bottom of these disciplines is diligence.
Yes.
That you must show diligence in the practice and the execution of the disciplines if you're going to see success. But then there's the other side of the table, whereby it's not dependent on you entirely. In fact, your input is very small as far as the graces are concerned, but the harvest that you see from that input is great and abundant. He talked about things like honor. Honoring God, honoring your mother, your father, honoring your spiritual parents, honoring each other. It's a small thing. There's a story that always does the rounds when we talk about honor, about a girl who brought 1 kilogram of meat to her father. 1 kilogram of meat to her father. And when he saw their relationship had been estranged, and when he saw him from a distance, he ran to meet her. Prodigal son story, real life, 3D. He runs to meet her, hugs her, and blesses her. And a job that she had been struggling at for 7 years, in 3 days' time, she had gotten a promotion.
Yeah.
It was 1 kilogram of meat.
Yes.
Very little input, but the results are amazing. Because with the little input, God steps in and does things that we couldn't do ourselves. So there's that side of the table, which is graces, right? Honor, generosity, and things like that. But then, we can relate that same stuff in our marriage and our relationships.
Yeah.
That there are disciplines. Date night. Do you have a date night every week? Right? When was the last time you went out on a date together? That stuff is great. Yeah? It enriches your relationship. Right? Yeah, today, no, this is not date night.
No.
No. This doesn't count. So there's that stuff that requires diligence. Date night, opening doors, buying flowers, right? Remembering anniversaries. Gentlemen, it's a thing, man.
Birthdays.
It's a thing. Birthdays.
How many children you have?
Trying to look good. That works for both sides. Diligence, right? Diligence in those things will enrich your relationship. But then there's also graces. And just showing grace towards each other. When we do those things, and I'm going to talk about what our marriage was like before and what it is now. Honor also features in the graces, by the way, where marriage is concerned. My parents have been married for 40-something years.
Yes.
Her parents have been married 40-something years. Together, very happy. We don't have those things of step-brother, step-sister. It's not in our family. It doesn't exist. And by honoring that thing that God has done in our parents, we are seeing the same results in our relationship. The input is small. You go to visit, take some juice, pay for electricity or something like that at their homes, pay a water bill, and then they'll say words, I bless you. And those words are responsible for what you are seeing here with us today. There's graces. I want us to look at our relationship before. We did all that stuff. We did date night, man. Friday night, Wednesday night. We had date night. And we practiced it diligently. I don't remember the last time we went out on a date. I don't. Let me tell you how bad it gets. You know that thing of flowers? Yeah? In the last maybe 2 years. I'm coming. Cut me some slack.
Okay.
In the last 2 years, the only times I have bought her flowers is when Apmo gave us an instruction. Even on our anniversary, I didn't buy flowers. Did I buy flowers on your birthday? I doubt. Oh, too soon.
Too soon. Too soon. Wow.
Look.
So twice. Because how many times have you got the instruction?
Twice.
Twice, yes.
Yeah. I am not saying throw out the diligence. I'm not saying throw out the diligence and the disciplines. No, I'm not saying that. We did all that stuff, but where our marriage is now, we have recognized a certain richness in it that obviously we cannot attribute to the disciplines.
No.
So whenever we can, we practice the disciplines. But we know that there is the graces as well. We do both. Where we slacken in the disciplines, the grace covers. And we've seen great things in our relationship. Now, what I want to talk about, secondly, is what has kept us going. What has kept us in this thing is the understanding that we have a covenant. A covenant is not a contract. You see, with a contract, two people or two parties come together and agree on something. Party A is going to do this, party B is going to do this, and then they sign and they say, it's going to last this long, and after this while, we'll come back and review the terms of the contract. Not with a covenant. A covenant is for life. When you make a covenant with somebody, you're saying, we are doing this for life. An interesting thought occurred to me the other day about Abraham and making a covenant with God. That when God makes a covenant with Abraham in Genesis, he puts Abraham to sleep. And it bothered me that why did God put Abraham to sleep? And then he took on the covenant with himself. And it occurred to me, one, that it's only God who had the capacity to fulfill the requirements of that covenant. But secondly, Abraham was a mortal being. Covenants come to an end when one or both parties die. So if Abraham had participated in that covenant, when he died, the covenant would be null and void. So you had to put Abraham to sleep so that the covenant continues because it is for life. Marriage is not a contract. Marriage is a covenant. It is for life. During the lockdown, Pastor Jeremy and I, we did something called Man on Top, a mastermind for young men. I was looking at the cities, and most of them are married now. Yeah. I think there's 3 who are getting married within the next 1 month. And I'm really excited about that. But we were reading several books and discussing them, and one of the books was by a guy called Chip Ingram, and he talks about marriage, sex, and relationships. And as we read that book and several other books, we came up with this pyramid that I'm going to illustrate for us here concerning marriage, covenant, and relationships. So, can everybody see the board, right? Oh, flip. Oh, sorry. No. Oh, we have whiteboard markers. Snowman's doesn't look like a whiteboard marker. Okay, this one. Can you guys see the board, right? Okay. So, there's that pyramid, okay? Those of you who've done a bit of physics understand that one of the most stable shape you could ever have is a triangle, right? Pastor Sam, am I right? It's a triangle, right? You've got a white base on which it sits, and then you've got the hypotenuses, or hypotenusae, I don't know. What's the word? So at the base here of this pyramid of your life is covenant. All right? So on top of covenant, covenant is the decision that you've made that this thing we are doing it for life. Your problems are my problems, your blessings are my blessings, your children are my children, your wars are my wars, your victories are my victories. That is covenant. All right?
1 second. Covenant means that it's no longer his debt.
Aha!
My debt.
It's our debt.
It's our debt. Because some of you are hearing, your money is my money. Your children are my children. Your debt is my debt.
Fire.
Yes. Yes. Go on, sir.
So, upon covenant, because covenant is you, the person, and God. All right? Now, upon covenant, covenant is you, the person you're with, your mate, and God. That's why we bring you to church to make a covenant in front of witnesses and before God. If you've read your vows and read that, you say we come before God, that God may bless the relationship. So upon this, there's commitment. All right? So the two of you have decided that, okay, we have a covenant, but on that covenant, we're going to be committed to each other. You're the person forsaking all others. You're the one that I have chosen to spend the rest of my life with. So you commit to each other. That I commit to you, forsaking all others. Now, upon that, you build trust. I am committed to you, so I will trust you. All right? Upon that, there's vulnerability. Because I trust you, I can be vulnerable with you. I can tell you my deepest, darkest fears. I can tell you my deepest, darkest, most embarrassing secrets. Because I trust you, I can be vulnerable with you. Because I am vulnerable, because I trust you, my vulnerability means I can stand before you naked and unashamed. Right? Now, because of that, you will have intimacy. All right? So it starts with covenant. Upon covenant, you build commitment. From commitment, you develop trust. Trust leads to vulnerability. And because of vulnerability, you can have intimacy. All right? Interesting thing is this. You can get rid of that. 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 Because all those things are dependent on you two individuals who have made a choice. But when it comes to covenant, because covenant involves God, this one doesn't go away. That's why the Bible tells us God hates divorce. Because it's not something just between two individuals. It's something between two individuals and God. So as long as these go away and you have covenant at the bottom there, you can always rebuild. It may be difficult. I'm going to tell you a quick story. In 2014, I got married to this lady in 2010. In 2014, 2013, she got pregnant, end of 2013, with our firstborn, Amara. Amara is 7 years old. And I've always known her as the super independent woman. I can be bad all by myself. I can do it, right? I don't cry. Yeah? I don't cry. I won't use your phone because I got my own airtime.
We've understood.
That's the woman I married. All right? Then she got pregnant. Whoa. Oh, wait for me. Carry me up the stairs. I only eat kiwi and lasagna from Mediterranean. So Mediterranean is this posh restaurant. So lasagna at Mediterranean was expensive, right? So this one day I figured out there was a place called Pizza Connection that also made lasagna for like half the price. So I went and bought my lasagna from Pizza Connection and brought it home. I bought two. And she took one fork and said, "It's not from Mediterranean." Wow. Wow. Then kiwi. Kiwi, one fruit of kiwi was like $1. One fruit like sauce, one. Yeah, 4,000 shillings, one like sauce. I said, that's all I want to eat, kiwi and lasagna. I was like, bless God. So, because of the woman I knew, I thought it was an act. Yeah. I am very ashamed to say this. I'm not proud to say this. I thought it was an act. So I remember this one day, we climbed the stairs. We got into the house. She just falls in through the door and lands on the ground. And I'm like, wow, drama much? And I stepped over her and went to the bedroom.
Can you imagine? You guys, it's a wow. Wow, Odom.
During that pregnancy, we had some of the most difficult conversations we've ever had in our marriage. Because that was one of the rockiest patches in our relationship that I can remember. We didn't talk a lot. And every time we talked, it was about defending ourselves and the decisions that we had made. Her defending herself for the way she was feeling, and me defending myself for saying that's not the woman I married. But we always had covenant. The commitment was shaken. Because if I was committed to loving you, I'm committed to loving you through everything, through every season. The trust was shaken. Because she's like, do you really love me? If you cannot recognize what I'm going through and stand by me, do you really love me? The vulnerability went. Because I can't tell you what I'm feeling, because if I told you what I'm feeling, you will judge me.
It's hormones.
You say it's hormones, whatever. And of course, intimacy went. Don't you touch me. Baby, are you awake? No, I am not. I want to conclude this. I just want to conclude this quickly by saying this. But the world has taught us differently. Because the world always tells us, how do you find out whether you're compatible for this? You start here.
Yeah.
That if you can start with intimacy, then possibly you can have some vulnerability, right? And then build trust, calm down, commit to each other, and eventually get married and have a covenant. It doesn't work like that. Why? Because when you do that, your triangle is upside down. And the base that this gives you for stability is lost because it's standing on its apex. And all it needs is one push, and the triangle will topple. Thank you.
So, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You may take your seats. You see, this thing about starting with intimacy is so bad. And the things we watch on TV aren't helping. Because according to TV, you find out that you love someone by the way they kissed you. If your leg went up. That's true love is here. Here, if they kissed you and your leg went up, then you're in love. I found something on a certain page which I want to read for you. Because today we have people who are not yet married. God reserves sex for marriage because true intimacy isn't meant to be casual. Your spouse is where you can fully be known and loved without fear. Remember, you've decided to stay together. Covenant is a decision. I'm going to be with you. Okay? So if someone makes that, none of us want to live with someone who every day is like, I might live today. Yeah, how many of you love to stay with a person who is warning you daily that they may, anytime there are so many people out there, I can live today? Does that? And so what do? You increase intimacy thinking that it will increase covenant. It says your spouse is where you can be fully known and loved without fear of rejection or judgment. Sex outside marriage will cloud your judgment. Listen, it's a pleasurable thing, but that pleasure will make you love a feeling more than loving the person.
That's true.
So you find that you're together and you can't even have a conversation. There's been no space for vulnerability. You don't know each other enough to talk about anything. You don't trust each other enough to share your dreams and hopes and futures. So you think that that feeling is a feeling of love, that you're in love with someone, but you're just in love with what that thing makes you feel. And you can't keep it. You can't maintain it. So if you're in this room, wait. There's space for covenant. There's space for covenant that builds into a space of true intimacy. So what are we going to do about all these things? Covenant, commitment, disciplines and graces. We want to invite you into a God life. Okay? To come out of a good life into a God life.
God life.
We want to invite you into a space where you fight for connection, into a space where you remember that you have covenant. So you fight for connection. Apostle has taught us that spiritual things don't come down to you.
They are ascended to.
You ascend to them.
Yeah.
The people I disciple, I keep telling that the enemy does not steal from an empty house. If you left this room open with nothing, no thief would be tempted to come. But as soon as you put the loudspeakers and the chairs and the tiles and the fans, then a thief is like, there's something there for me to take. Marriage is a good thing with treasure, and the thief is out to steal from our marriages. So the things that you go through where you are struggling, the thief is stealing because you have a good thing. Say amen. I might be speaking and in your mind you're saying, but I know so and so, and I know so and so, and I know so and so. This is the thing. Just because the Panadol didn't work for you doesn't mean the Panadol does not work.
Wow.
So let's stop looking at the ones that didn't work out. because there's the possibility of working out. Yes? So you can live a good life. You can live a good life. You can live, I could have been an electrical engineer. I could have been, I worked at a bank because I did BCom and I had many jobs. And I would have lived a good life. Survived in the corporate world, probably been a CEO somewhere, living a good life. I walked into my purpose that God had called me into, and I'm now living a good life. There's nothing better. I cannot imagine that God has given me the opportunity to be a church planter. Like, I walked into what God called me into. Okay? So are both lives, would I have been happy? Yes. But now I'm in like that space of supernatural blessing and abundance, and that's the life we are trying to call you into concerning your marriages, right? In 3 minutes, we want to talk about 4 things, okay? 4 things that you're going to do to fight for connection. Pastor Emma said that once you have covenant, the rest can be built. Location pastors, there's a time Apostle was teaching and he's like, you are the foundation. If the whole of Worship Harvest Bugolobi got up and left, I can start again. Because I'm the foundation. I want you to remember that you have the foundation. So all this can be built. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do to fight for connection? The first thing that you're going to do to fight for connection is to have lots and lots of number one. What is number one? According to his needs and her needs, the book, the number one need for a man is number one. What's the word? It's not just sexual.
It is sexual fulfillment.
Fulfillment. It's not sex. It's sexual fulfillment. So it's not that thing of, when you're done, cover me. Good night. Do you understand? Like, they want to enjoy it. But it's a lie that many women have believed is that it's for the man. It's for both of you. Yeah. It's for both of you. Okay, so all our aunties are preparing us how to make sure our husbands enjoy sex, and they forget to tell you how you can enjoy. So you're so stressed and annoyed and you're not doing it, but it's for your good. Genesis 2:24. I thought the men would say amen. Genesis 2:24.
They can't believe a woman is telling them. A woman is fighting for their rights. Anyway.
Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. How many of you are wondering how to become one flesh? Hey, like, what's this one flesh? So we've been taught that the body is spirit, soul, and body. And the flesh is the body and the soul. Right? Your soul is your emotions, your thoughts, that's your soul. Your body is your body. Mark 10, verse 9 to 10 says, it's about to come up, Mark chapter 10, verse 9 to 10. Says, therefore, what God has joined together, let not man separate. And what does verse 10 say? Wrong verse. Let me find the right verse. Maybe go to Matthew 19.
Verse 5 to 6.
Matthew 19, verse 5 to 6. Okay. It says, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Right? And he says, so then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let not man separate. How does God join you together? Go back. Therefore, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. How are you joined to your wife? How are you joined to your wife? Do you know that in some countries and states and places, until you sleep with your spouse,
The marriage is not valid.
the marriage is not valid? Even here in Uganda. How do the two become one flesh? Through number one, sleeping together. You become one flesh. You start to align your souls. Do you understand? You start to align your thoughts, feelings, emotions, bodies. And the second verse says, what God has joined together. How does God join you together? How many of you are thinking that you're not walking together with your spouse? How does God join you together? How does, wow. God joins you together when you sleep together. Therefore, what God has joined together, let not man separate. Not so? Yes. You become one flesh. That is God joining you together. We are inviting you to align in your marriage through sex. Praise the Lord.
Come on now. Hey. Point number 2 is generosity. So, I'm not going to dwell so much on this, but it is key. So, 1, you must be generous with each other. Husbands giving to wives. I know we've sung this song so many times about kameza, money that the husband gives to the wife and does not require accountability for. It's not to be spent on tomatoes, onions, and those things for the establishment of the household. No. That money is for her to spend on whatever she wants to spend it on. Husbands, be generous to your wives. I learned this from Upmore the other day, that one of the ways, because sometimes when the husband gives kameza for the wife, he'll come back and she's bought toilet paper, she's paid the electricity bill, she's bought onions and tomatoes for the house. So Upmore has a trick. He says, give it to her in foreign currency. That creates an obstacle, because you're not going to take your dollars to the market to buy tomatoes. What if she runs a forex bureau? That's the exception. I learned that from Upmore. It's something I started to practice, because she'll take that money, she'll bank it, or she'll only go and change it when she's going to use it on herself. So be generous. Husbands, be generous to your wives, but wives also be generous to your husbands. It's very easy to stand here and sing, kameza, when for you know you're mean. So be generous to each other. Number 2, be generous to your parents, your biological parents or your guardians. Do that. Honor them through your possessions. I think it's in Matthew chapter... where do I have that? Mark chapter 7 verse 10. Mark chapter 7 verse 10, which talks about honor your parents. And Moses said, honor your father and your mother, and he who curses father or mother, let him be put to death. How does he expect you to honor your father and your mother? Through your possessions, through your money. Not by kneeling to them, not by sending them a text message or showing up on Sunday afternoon for lunch. That's not honor. With your substance. Number 3, be generous to your spiritual parents. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 17. 1 Timothy 5, 17. Be generous to your spiritual parents. Those who have birthed you into ministry. Your pastors. Your missional community leaders. Let the elders who rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially those who labor in the word and doctrine. So, just a key thing here, because he says double honor, what you give to your biological parents, multiply it by 2. That's what you would give to your spiritual parents. As a baseline. That's the minimum. So be generous to them. And number 4, of course, be generous to God.
Yeah.
This is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9 and 10. right? It says, honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruit of all your increase. So, as a result, your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will overflow with new wine. Be generous to God. Generosity is key. Generosity is a grace that will unlock great things for your marriage and your relationships.
Yeah. The thing that generosity has done for us with God, with each other, but with our parents and our spiritual parents, you see, the blessing is words. What Apostle and Revma want for us is for us to be married forever. And that's a thing that we unlock.
Yep.
Each time we honor them. Each time. Another thing that we unlock from Apostle and Revma that I realize is we cannot fail and we have the grace to fight for our marriage because they know how to fight for their marriage.
It's true.
Yes,
it's true.
We have the grace to fight for our marriage. I think we've unlocked from our parents is the ability to live together in harmony and in peace.
Yes.
Because our parents have never fought. We've never seen them fighting. That's a thing. Guys, there's a supernatural way. There's a supernatural way. Let's finish quickly with this one. Do not remove ancient boundary lines. The Bible says a lot about husbands and wives and who needs to submit to who needs to love who. And I feel like we are fighting it. Each time the word submission comes up, there are options of what that should look like. Each time the word submission comes up, people are filled with anger. I've been there. Because the world has defined submission as
be a carpet to be walked over.
Yes, a control, be sad. But Apostle has taught us, when I submit to my husband, okay, he is my blesser.
It's true.
It is a portal of blessing for me.
Yes.
But also in the entire Bible, God tells us a few ways how to survive in marriage and to succeed. And one of the things he has told women to do is to submit to our husbands. That's why those who are not yet married, if you marry a man that's not submitted to God, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. I am married to a man submitted to God, therefore I can submit to him. Now let me tell you about this thing called submission to God. God loves me so much. He's not the author of confusion. The way he has seen unity in my marriage is for me to submit myself under my husband. My will, my dreams, my what under my husband. He has seen that having had the plans that he had for me for a hope and for a future, having put the dreams inside me, that one of the ways that they're going to be achieved is for me to submit myself under the man through whom they'll be achieved. This man is submitted to God, and being submitted to God means he's submitted to his discipler. Do you see that I don't have to pray for flowers?
I like that.
I don't have to pray for flowers because he's submitted to a man of God who listens to God.
Yeah.
The system is working. So whether he's praying by himself and talking to Jesus, Jesus will be like, go and give your wife a hug. The hug will come. If he refuses to listen to Jesus, he gets a message from his discipler who says, go and hug your wife. And he comes and he hugs his wife. And he buys his wife flowers. And he gives his wife kameza in dollars. I did pray for all of it. Yes. So can we not remove ancient boundary lines? We like to look at our mothers and our aunties and older women and think they are so old-fashioned. But they stayed married.
Wow. Wow.
They stayed married. They stayed married. Men went out and worked hard.
Yes.
They didn't stay at home playing Xbox all day. Because women can go out and work. No. Let's not remove ancient boundary lines. It says, wives, submit to your husbands. Wives, submit to your husbands. It says, husbands, love your wives. Husbands, love your wives. It says, husbands, wash over your wife with words. Do it. It says, submit yourselves to one another. Do it. It says, do not deny each other. Do it. Yes, do not remove ancient boundary lines. Let's end because...
I will conclude with this. Just be gracious to one another. Can you give me Galatians chapter 5 from verse 13 as we conclude?
The third conclusion, we are good.
It says, for you, brethren, have been called to liberty. Only do not use liberty or freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. Go down to verse 14. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And down to 15, finally. But if you bite and devour one another, beware lest you be consumed by one another. In a marriage, your orientation should be towards serving your spouse, not to indulge yourself in the things that you desire, but rather put your energies and your thoughts towards serving your spouse. That is how you administer grace to one another. When they slip up, put yourself in their shoes and say, how would I love to be treated when I slip up this way? Remember that in the relationship, you are friends. That's what my wife is always saying. You're not in a competition against each other, but your friends, each one looking out for the good of the other. When one does something, they are not doing it to pull you down. They've made a mistake. Extend grace to them. Because if you don't and you're competing against each other, you will be biting and devouring each other. And at the end,
you'll be consumed.
You're thinking that you're destroying the other person, but you yourself get destroyed. Be gracious to each other. So the 4 things we said in order and very quickly was, number 1, have lots of sex. Number 2, be generous to each other. I think that also goes into number 1. Number 3 is do not remove ancient boundaries. And number 4, be gracious to each other. Practice those things and you will see your marriage flourish. Last words.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. This is what I would like you to do. What is Jesus saying, and what are you going to do about it? What is it that your heart is fighting right now? I think that's what Jesus is saying to you. That's the thing the enemy is trying to steal. The thing that your heart is fighting right now might be the thing that Jesus is saying to you. Maybe Jesus is saying, wife, on Sunday morning before you leave, make the lunch, go for the 11:30 service. Yes. Husbands, maybe Jesus is saying, it's okay. Turn the currency into dollars and give her the money. Because you're thinking, but she's not generous with me. First, she doesn't submit to me. No. Jesus is giving us specific instructions, right? I want you to bend your heart to him. Okay? What is Jesus saying? What are you going to do about it? Let me tell you one of the things that they're going to say about Worship Harvest and marriages. 1, that people at Worship Harvest get married.
Yeah.
Yes, people get married. 2, that marriages at Worship Harvest last. Ever since I heard it, I declared it over Worship Harvest. What I heard from Papa Mike, that we're going to go through a season where 10 years pass, 15 years pass, and we do not hear of divorce.
Amen.
So what is Jesus saying? And what are you going to do about it? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Come on. Why don't we rise to our feet and give them a big hand? Thank you very much.